So another very common pricing strategy is called a two-part tariff. And the idea here is that there's a fixed fee that the consumer has to pay up front, and then they have a price for each unit that they purchase afterwards. And so the total expenditure then is just F for this fixed fee plus the price times quantity. Now, the idea there is that consumers get a lower average price for each extra unit they buy because they're spreading out that fixed price by Q. So the average price is just F divided by Q plus P. And so there are lots of examples, right? So, with flat membership fees at Costco and Sam's Club, country clubs have a flat fee for membership and then per unit fees for golf or tennis or dinner or whatever. And then, of course, like nightclubs and amusement parks also have an entry fee plus a per unit price. And so the idea is, if you think about an individual's demand curve, this is one way for the business to extract all of that consumer surplus, right? Where you set the price equal to marginal cost, but then the fee is equal just to all of that consumer surplus. And you can see, that leads both, to the perfect competition or perfect price discrimination output. But of course, it would require that all consumers have the same demand curve, right? If all consumers have the same demand curve, then you can set price equal to marginal cost and the fee equal to the consumer surplus. That's not necessarily going to be the case. So when consumers do have different preferences, it becomes a more complex question. We can think about, like a low value consumer and a high value consumer. And in this case, you're going to have a setup so that probably the high value consumer is going to have some remaining surplus, right? So you can suck out all the surplus from the low value consumer, but not the high value consumer. And you kind of have to compare all of the price and fee combinations to find what the optimal one is. So cell phone companies have done an even more complicated pricing scheme, which is often referred to as a three-part tariff. And so often what their fees will consist of, so you'll have your monthly fee, you'll have some free phone minutes as an allowance, so like you can use 500 minutes or whatever, and then a positive price beyond that. So this obviously makes it pretty difficult to choose the most cost-effective plan, and it probably takes advantage of some behavioral aspects of consumers in terms of thinking that they'll be able to stay below a certain amount. You can think about leasing cars as a similar idea, right, where you pay the lease fee and you can drive up to a certain number of miles, but then any amount of miles you drive after that, you'll be charged. So now I will say, with a little bit more, we've had a little more price competition in the cell phone market in the last few years. And so some of these plans have been going away, but I think it's still fairly common. We can also think about sales, right? And so one way that we want to think about sales is with a high value and a low value customer, just like we were talking about with the two-part tariff. So if we have price competition, right, we saw Bertrand, price competition brings price down to marginal costs and cuts into profits. And so why do they have so many sales? And one possible way is that you're trying to both extract surplus from your high value customers who don't look for sales all the time, while still attracting the low value customers who do look for sales. And so we can put a little bit of a model into it. So imagine there are two price options for a TV. $500 is the regular price and $400 is the sale price. And we'll imagine that the unit cost is $350 for the retailers. So you get a profit of $150 if you sell it at $500, but only $50 if you sell it at $400. And then on the demand side, there are two types of consumers. So the first is a high value, and so they're going to make a purchase as long as the price doesn't exceed $500, our PR. And then there's a low value who are price sensitive. And so they're going to spend their time shopping and only buy if it's on sale. And so we can think about this in terms of, a game strategy equilibrium. And the idea here is if you both set the price at $500, then you each get $6,000 in profit. And so this is assuming 80 high value customers and 100 low value customers. And basically what you do is you split the high value customers there. But there are all these low value customers who haven't had a chance to buy yet. And so you'd like to sell to them. And if you have a sale price, then you're going to capture all of those and your profits will actually be higher, and you'll still split the high value customers. So you'll get 7,000 and the competitor will get 6,000. But if you both put everything on sale, then everybody buys, but you're only earning $50 per TV. And so you only get 4,500. So you can find the Nash equilibrium, the pure strategy Nash equilibrium. It's the, PSPR outcome. But it's not actually, the pure strategy is probably not the best option. The best option is a mixed strategy. And so we don't necessarily go through the math with the mixed strategy in this class, but the idea is that you're going to have some percentage of time where you have a sale, and that is going to be somewhat random. And the idea there is, so here you have a sale basically 60% of the time, and you would get an expected profit of $6,000. And so you can think of this as, the reason that, Best Buy and Target and Walmart have these sort of somewhat unpredictable sales.